Still watching Business Nigeria, coming to you live from our studio. So let's get into our second conversation. The informal sector has long been a significant contributor to Nigerian economic growth, providing essential goods and services to millions of Nigerians. However, despite its importance, the informal sector has often been overlooked and underserved by regulators, leading to a lack of integration and support. According to experts, to drive economic growth, the government must unlock the potential in the informal sector capable of impacting the economy. Well, to provide some insight now, I'm joined by the spokesperson for Market Traders Association of Nigeria and Integrated Market Revenue Management Systems Initiative, Mr. Ibrahim Garba. He joins me from Abuja studio. Thank you, Mr. Garba, for joining us. It's good to see you. Your first time on the show here, right? With me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Frank.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So, yes, welcome. So we've seen the government, recently clamp down on traders over price fixing and hoarding of food just to address the high cost of food in the country. What's your association, Market Traders Association, doing to address this crisis?
Oh, well, thank you very much for this question. It's a very important time for Nigerians, especially the federal government, to begin to think outside the box. And what do I mean? We need to have a handshake with those in the informal sector of the Nigerian economy, because these are the key drivers. When you are talking about income generation and you are not in partnership with the informal sector of the Nigerian economy, I think you are heading towards a doom. What do I mean by that? We have over 80% of those in the informal sector, waiting for a handshake with the federal government. And as a result of that, the Market Traders Association of Nigeria thought it otherwise, that this is a perfect time to go into a perfect relationship with the federal government. And somewhere in September 22, 2022, there was an understanding, a memorandum of understanding with the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the Joint Tax Board on ways and means we can harmonize a new tax regime. And that means we should begin to think of bringing those in the informal sector into the tax net. So, and that gives birth to the Integrated Market Revenue Management System. And like you rightly pointed out, Nigeria is in dire need of solutions. And there's no better time to think about the informal sector than now, because this is where the bulk of trading and purchases take place. And this is where government can generate revenue to cushion the effects of what we are experiencing currently in the system, because we are now more or less a borrowing economy. And going by the 2024 budget, where we borrow as much as over $2 billion to finance the budget, to support the budget, I think it's very critical, and it shows there's a lot of pressure on the Nigerian economy, and that means we should be creative, and that is why in September 2022, to be precise, there was an understanding with the FRS and the Joint Tax Board to come up with a solution to bring in this
just a moment
into the tax net.
Just a moment.
Yes.
Yeah. Pardon me to interject there. We get into that conversation in the moment where, the FIRS is partnering with Market, Traders Association of Nigeria and all of that. But I just want us to address, some issues around the role that the market traders, are playing as regards addressing food prices and all of that. And I do know that you have influence. So what role are you playing to influence the twin forces of demand and supply in the market with regards to stabilizing prices?
No, like you rightly know, for the informal sector to drive, it needs the support of the government, especially in areas of duties and all that. Because you find out, one, the insecurity that pervades the nation has impacted negatively on the Nigerian farmers, especially because it's very difficult for them to go to the farms to get produce. That is on one hand. And at the same time, the closure of the border has made it impossible for us to bring in essential items which are needed to cushion this effect, because you need to balance. So the traders are at the receiving end of all these policies. If you don't make it flexible for the traders, it's going to be difficult for them to support the economy. It's what you get in, you get out. You garbage in, you garbage out. And that is why it's very difficult and critical at this moment, because the traders, well, they are trying their best to make sure that products are available at a rate that is affordable. But if, on the contrary, you find out the policies of the government are impacting on them negatively, it's going to be very, very difficult, Frank. Let me give you an example. A situation whereby, for instance, it's not too long we had about, customs impounding some items that were imported, especially rice. And at the end of the day, they are saying they are going to distribute these things to Nigeria. Remember, these traders use their money to buy these products. So if at the border, especially Idiroko border and Sebe border, all these areas, the traders are finding it very difficult to bring in these items. How do you think the prices of these food items will not go up? So the traders are at the receiving end of government policies. And that is why there's a need for us to sit down and look at this thing holistically. What should we do now to cushion this effect? And at the same time, what should government do to arrest this? It's a win-win situation. If the government is ready to sit down to negotiation table, it's very easy.
I know Matan is the biggest player in Nigeria's market with more than 40 million members across the 774 local governments and the 36 states, including the federal capital territory. So how do you suppose, you talk about challenges right away, how do you suppose the country can address the challenge of supply gap in the agri sector vis-a-vis what the federal government is currently doing, to address the high cost of food across the state of the federation?
Recently we had that the vice president mentioned that we have some economic saboteurs trying to pull down the system, whereby over 45 trucks were found, going outside the shores of this country and all that. So there are so many areas that needed, immediate attention. So for us to block, or rather to support the initiatives of the federal government need to open up and become a little bit, transparent in most of their policies. It's not about you dishing out orders today, tomorrow is a different thing entirely. It makes it very difficult for market forces to, relate. And there is hunger in the land. And this is the right time for government to begin to sit down with the Market Traders Association of Nigeria, because these are the larger population. You and I go to the market to buy these, products. If they are not available in the market, where do you go to purchase these items? So that is why I still want to call on government to relax some of these policies. Yes, you can, give tax waivers. We can begin to think of how we can improve on insecurity. We can begin to think of how we can improve seedlings. We can begin to think of how we can relax some of these duties on essential products that are coming into the country. This is the right time to sit down with the federal government. And that is why, like I mentioned earlier, it is time for us to look at these issues holistically. What should we do to cushion this effect? And the market traders thought it otherwise through the vision of the National Secretary that, look, it is time for us to introduce something that will serve as a meeting point between the traders and the government. Because if you have a complete database of those in the informal sector, it enables you to plan. It enables you to interface with them. It enables you to generate revenue. And a situation whereby over 180 million are outside the tax net, and you are giving orders to the FIRS to generate money of over 19 trillion. Do you know what should come out, or rather what will come out if you bring these people into the tax net? It will double. So this is the right time for us, Mr. Frank, to think and sit down, because if we don't do that right now, there's going to be a lot of pressure on the Nigerian economy. And we are all feeling the impact now. And that is why After that agreement, that MOU we signed with the Joint Tax Board and the FRS, we were waiting for implementation. And it's there before them to look at it and at the same time activate it. So it's going to be a win-win situation if government, or especially the FRS, the Joint Tax Board, sit down to look at the document we submitted, and you see the economy be revamped once again. And there are so many things that will be addressed there.
Okay. Pardon me, two things. Would you like to highlight some of the things in the document? That's one. Secondly, speak to the federal government's plan to integrate the informal sector into the mainstream economic activities in Nigeria. What does this mean, and how is this move likely to impact the growth of the economy and, of course, the activities in the informal sector?
Thank you very much. This is a very good question, Mr. Frank. Now, let me tell you something. You see, the informal sector want to digitize all its operations. What do we mean by that? You see, we have done a lot of advocacy, and the traders have agreed, so, okay, we are ready to be part of the formal sector by engaging government on annual basis. Now, there's a process of enumeration which we have planned for every member in the informal sector. You know, that comprises the artisans, the food vendors, those in the supermarket, the farmers, as far as those even are in correctional centers, which we think they are members of the society, because you need them to execute projects in the long run. Now, if we initiate the process of enumeration and registration, definitely you see new TIN numbers being generated, because everybody being considered to be part of these new initiatives, one, must have been identified as a true Nigerian, must have an account details, must have been registered through the federal government plan, which is the generation of the TIN number, the BVN. So all these data are captured. And when that is done, you are given a VDI card, which is called the VAT Direct Initiative card. Now, when that is given to you, automatically you are part of the formal sector which you are talking about. And now with this card, you can trade with it, and every purchase attracts a minimum, tax, which we are anticipating, which is approximately 7.5%. Let me give you an example with a food vendor. We all go to these food vendors on a daily basis. And for instance, if you are making a purchase of, say, 500 or 1,000 naira, you are going to pay with your VDI card or whichever means of identification or mobile ATM card you want to use. And immediately as you are making this payment, it comes with the tariff, which is normal. And this is what we have planned. Because at this point in time, we want to support the government on a daily basis, every minute, every hour of the day, for funds to be generated to support government policies. And in turn, you don't just take out, but you must give back. Now, with the database we're generating across the 774 local government, because we have markets everywhere, now, what is the benefit? If I'm giving you my money, if I'm paying my taxes, what should I get in return? Well, we have a plan to integrate them. And what do we mean by that? Which means anytime there's a palliative from the federal government through the local government or the state government, you already have a database on how to reach out to these people. And that is on one side. Then number two is the fact that being a regular taxpayer gives you access to loans without collateral with any of the banks. This is certain. Number three is the fact that even children of the traders attract bank loans to facilitate their business. Young graduates that you see them walking around today without jobs, upon registration, they are entitled to benefits that comes every month, say 100,000 or 150,000. As soon as you get an employable job, you start to pay back in installments. These are the plans, some of the plans we have. And look at it this way. We have a larger population of over 180 million, but in the first phase we are planning right now, which is a period of 90 days across the nation where we are, introducing, agents. Already we've started training agents ahead of the execution. Now, these agents, their job is simple. So capture data of every Nigerian in the informal sector. And I can assure you that But at the end of 90 days, you are sure of getting almost 80 to 90 million people that are coming into the formal sector ready to pay their taxes on a daily basis. So when you do that, you see new income, you see less pressure on the economy because almost everybody is engaged. This is just part of what we have planned right now, to engage with the federal government. All we are waiting for is the authorities concerned to give us the go-ahead because the agreement has been signed and we are waiting for execution because we cannot just do this alone. It's a partnership. And at the same time, it's a win-win situation. And this is the best time to do it because there's poverty, there's inflation. And with this new strategy, you see new jobs, new opportunities everywhere.
I mean, just a few things before I let you go, if you can do that quickly. I mean, people would like to know, how does this benefit ordinary Nigerian who is not a member of the Market Traders Association? Because that's one, so that it doesn't become, another interest group or pressure group who are only about themselves. That is one. And I also remember that last year, I discovered that the Federal Inland Revenue Service, is partnering with you to collect VAT and all of that. What is the current stage of things as how much revenue has been realized from this partnership? As I let you go now. First, talk about the benefit to Nigerians, and of course, talk about this last one.
Okay, thank you very much. In terms of benefit, you see, you look at the state of the nation right now, where you have a lot of unemployment, you have high inflation rates and all that. Bringing these people to the tax net automatically qualifies you as a Nigerian to enjoy every benefit in the corporate environment. I mean, everybody, including those in public service. You have wives, you have relations that you can introduce to this new policy. All they need is the VDI card. And as soon as you get that, automatically empowers you to go into trading. Virtually every home you see today in Nigeria, they trade either one way, directly or indirectly. And that's on one side. On the other hand, you stand to enjoy free medical care as a Nigerian. Free medical care. You enjoy free legal services. You enjoy a lot of opportunities that come with this initiative. And that is why we say, okay, it has never happened. There's no way around the world we have seen anything like this happen. It's because you need people with vision to drive this. And going back to the question, the next question, which is about how much we must have been generating between the time we went into the agreement with the FRS and Joint Tax Board. Well, as you rightly know, when I opened this conversation, I said, we are waiting for takeoff because, projects such as this one need government intervention. You need to support the initiatives by committing yourself. When you commit yourself into it, it shows that you are serious about it. And I am calling on the FRS chairman, Mr. Jack Adedeji, to see light in this initiative. This is a joker. This is what will take Nigerians out of poverty. And when federal government says, go to town, generate 19.9 trillion naira for 2024. Frank, I can tell you, I can bear with you that the informal sector will generate 3 times that amount in one calendar year if government is serious about this initiative.
I think we just have to leave it there. Thank you so much. Mr. Ibrahim Garba is the spokesperson for Market Traders Association of Nigeria. Thank you for your time for coming on Business Nigeria.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Frank.
All right, let's turn our attention to looking at trading activities at the Nigerian Exchange Limited.